The history of Kosovo is intertwined with the histories of its neighbouring regions. The name Kosovo is derived from the Kosovo Plain, where the Battle of Kosovo was fought between Serbia and the Ottoman Empire. Kosovo's modern history can be traced to the Ottoman Sanjak of Prizren, of which parts were organized into Kosovo Vilayet in 1877. In antiquity, Dardania covered the area, which formed part of the larger Roman province of Moesia in the 1st century AD. In the Middle Ages, the region became part of the Bulgarian Empire, the Byzantine Empire and the Serbian medieval states. It was then conquered by the Ottoman Empire in exact 70 years after the Battle of Kosovo. In 1913 the Kosovo Vilayet was incorporated into the Kingdom of Serbia, which in 1918 became part of Yugoslavia. Kosovo gained autonomy in 1963 under Josip Broz Tito's direction, an autonomy which was significantly extended by Yugoslavia's 1974 constitution, but lost its autonomous institutions in 1990. In 1999 UNMIK stepped in to protect Kosovo, in response to extensive human rights abuses by Serb forces. On 17 February 2008 Kosovo's parliament declared independence as the Republic of Kosovo, with partial recognition of that declaration. Early history. During the Neolithic Age, Kosovo lay within the area of the Vinca Turdis culture era, which is characterized by West Balkan black and grey pottery. Bronze and Iron Age tombs have been found only in Roshiidu Kagjinet and not in Kosovo. In the 4th century BC, the area was in the eastern parts of Illyria, which bordered on Thrace. At that time it was inhabited by the Thraco-Illyrian tribes of the Dardania, by Celts and the Thracian tribe of the Tribali. The region of Illyria was conquered by Rome in 168 BC, and made into the Roman province of Illyricum in 59 BC. The Kosovo region probably became part of Moesia Superior in AD 87, although archaeological evidence suggests that it may have been divided between Dalmatia and Moesia. After 284 Diocletian further divided Upper Moesia into the smaller provinces of Dardania, Moesia Prima, Dacia Ripensis, and Dacia Mediterranea. Dardania's capital was Naissus, previously a Celt settlement. The Roman province of Dardania included eastern parts of modern Kosovo, while its western part belonged to the newly formed Roman province of Prevalitana with its capital Declea. The Romans colonized the region and founded several cities. The Hunnic invasions of 441 and 447–49 were the first barbarian invasions which were able to take Eastern Roman fortified centers and cities. Most Balkan cities were sacked by Attila, and recovered only partially if at all. While there is no direct written evidence of Hunnic invasion of Kosovo, its economic hinterland will anyway have been affected for centuries. Justinian I, who assumed the throne of the Byzantine Empire in 527, oversaw a period of Byzantine expansion into former Roman territories, and reabsorbed the area of Kosovo into the empire. Slavic migrations to the Balkans took place between the 6th to 7th centuries. In the absence of written or archaeological evidence of genocide or mass relocation of existing populations, it may be assumed that the genetic origins of the Slavic-speaking populations today include large elements of pre-existing populations, who adopted Slav languages for economic or social reasons, and genetic studies on Serbs seem to confirm this. The haplogroup E1b1b1a2v13 has its highest frequency in Kosovo, its second highest in Albania, and its third highest in Serbia.
Middle Ages. Bulgarian Empire. The region was incorporated into the Bulgarian Empire during the reign of Khan Prizren. Numerous churches and monasteries were constructed after the Christianization of Bulgaria in 864. It remained within the borders of Bulgaria for 150 years until 1018, when the country was overrun by the Byzantines after half-century bitter struggle. According to the Administrando Imperio of the 10th century Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII, the Serbian-populated lands lay to the northwest of Kosovo and the region was Bulgarian. During the uprising of Peter Delian, Kosovo was briefly liberated, and during the uprising of Georgi Vojta in 1072, Peter III was proclaimed Emperor of Bulgaria in Prizren, from where the Bulgarian army marched to Skopje. In the beginning of the 13th century Kosovo was reincorporated in the restored Bulgarian Empire, but the Bulgarian control faded after the death of Emperor Ivan Asen II. Byzantine Empire. Byzantine control was subsequently reasserted by Emperor Basil II. Serbia at this time was not a united state. A number of small Serbian kingdoms lay to the north and west of Kosovo, of which Raška and Duklja were the strongest. In the 1180s, the Serbian ruler Stefan Nemanja seized control of Duklja and parts of Kosovo. His successor, Stefan Privovenkani, took control of the rest of Kosovo by 1216, creating a state incorporating most of the area which is now Serbia and Montenegro. Serbia-Kosovo was absorbed into the Serbian state of Raška in the late 12th and early 13th centuries, and was part of the Serbian Empire from 1346 to 1371. In 1389, in the Battle of Kosovo, the army of the Serbian Prince Lazar Rebijanović was defeated by the Ottoman Turks, who finally took control of the territory in 1455. During the rule of the Nemanjić dynasty, many Serbian Orthodox churches and monasteries were built throughout Serbian territory. For the mid-13th century to the end of the century, the Nemanjić rulers had the main residences in Kosovo. Large estates were given to the monasteries in western Kosovo. The most prominent churches in Kosovo, the Patriarchate at Pek, the church at Gracanaga and the monastery at Visoki Dekani near Dekani, were all founded during this period. Kosovo was economically important, as the modern Kosovo capital Pristina was a major trading center on routes leading to ports on the Adriatic Sea. Also, mining was an important industry in Novo Beograd and Jančevo, which had its communities of émigré Saxon miners and Ragusan merchants. In 1450 the mines of Novo Beograd were producing about 6,000 kilograms of silver per year. The ethnic composition of Kosovo's population during this period included Serbs, Albanians, and Vlachs, along with a token number of Greeks, Armenians, Saxons, and Bulgarians, according to Serbian monastic charters at Chrysobuls. A majority of the names given in the charters are overwhelmingly Slavic rather than Albanian. This has been interpreted as evidence of an overwhelming Serbian majority. This claim seems to be supported by the Turkish cadastral tax census of 1455, which took into account religion and language and found an overwhelming Serb majority. But, since there are many examples of both Slavic and Albanian names occurring within the same family, name evidence must be treated with caution. Giving children foreign names can occur through intermarriage, through imitation of a socially superior class from a different ethnic group, or simply through fashion. Ethnic identity in the Middle Ages was somewhat fluid throughout Europe.
and most people at the time do not appear to have defined themselves rigidly by ethnicity, but Serbian speakers were the majority linguistic group in this period. In 1355, the Serbian state fell apart on the death of Tsar Stefan Dusan and dissolved into squabbling fiefdoms. The timing fell perfectly within the Ottoman expansion. The Ottoman Empire took the opportunity of this vacuum to expand its power, just as the Nemanjiks had exploited periods of Byzantine weakness, a division in the major expansions. Battles of Kosovo. First Battle of Kosovo. The First Battle of Kosovo occurred on the field of Kosovo Polje on June 28, 1389, when the ruling KNEZ of Serbia, Lazar Rebuljanović, marshaled a coalition of Christian soldiers, made up of Serbs, but in small numbers also of Bosnians, Albanians, Bulgarians, Magyars and a troop of Saxon mercenaries. Sultan Murad I also gathered a coalition of soldiers and volunteers from neighbouring countries in Anatolia and Rumelia. Exact numbers are difficult to come by, but most reliable historical accounts suggest that the Christian army was heavily outnumbered by the Ottomans. The combined numbers of the two armies are believed to be less than 100,000. The Serbian army was defeated and Lazar was slain, although Murad I was killed, according to tradition, by Miloš Bilić, or Kobilic as he was always called until the 18th century. He has been variously described as a Serb, an Albanian, and a Hungarian. Although the battle has been mythologized as a great Serbian defeat, at the time opinion was divided as to whether it was a Serbian defeat, a stalemate, or possibly even a Serbian victory. Serbian principalities continued their existence, usually as vassals of the Ottomans, and maintained sporadic control of Kosovo, until the final extinction of the Despotate of Serbia in 1459, following which Serbia became part of the Ottoman Empire. The fortress of Novo Brdo, important at the time due to its rich silver mines, came under siege for 40 days by the Ottomans during that year, capitulating and becoming occupied by the Ottomans on June 1, 1455. Second Battle of Kosovo. The Second Battle of Kosovo was fought over the course of a 2-day period in October 1448, between a Hungarian force led by John Hunyadi and an Ottoman army led by Murad II. Significantly larger than the first battle, with both armies numbering twice that of the first battle, the ending was the same, and the Hungarian army was defeated in the battle and pushed from the field. Although the loss of the battle was a setback for those resisting the Ottoman invasion of Europe at the time, it was not a crushing blow to the cause. Hunyadi was able to maintain Hungarian resistance to the Ottomans during his lifetime. Significance. The overall significance of these battles remains disputed, although the First Battle of Kosovo has become, for Serbians since their independence, at least a national symbol for heroism and an admirable fight against all odds, and may therefore have assumed a significance that it lacked. It seems unlikely that single battles could seriously have affected the rise of Ottoman power. In the First Battle of Kosovo, Sultan Murad I was the first Ottoman ruler to lose his life. His successor Sultan Bayezid I went on to expand Ottoman territories significantly, despite defeats in Wallachia, in his siege of Constantinople, and his crushing defeat in the Battle of Ankara, in which he was captured and which resulted in a civil war for the succession. Despite these defeats, Ottoman power continued to expand. The Second Battle of Kosovo might have had more significance in that there were two powers simultaneously resisting the Ottomans, with Skanderbeg only narrowly misjoining Hunyadi for the battle, while the resistance of the Byzantines, Serbians, Hungarians, Albanians and Wallachians should have given the Austrians more time to prepare for an Ottoman threat against them. It is by no means clear that they believed the threat to be seriously consciously prepared for it. Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans brought Islam with them and later also created the Vilayet of Kosovo as one of the Ottoman territorial entities. Ottoman rule lasted for about 500 years, in which time the Ottomans were the absolute power in the region. Many Slavs converted to Islam and served under Ottomans. Kosovo was taken temporarily by the Austrian forces during the War of 1683 to 1699 with help of Serbs, but were defeated and retreated shortly thereafter. In 1690, the Serbian Patriarch of Prizren III, who had previously escaped of certain death, fled to Austria, as did 30–40,000 people. He was probably referring only to Serbs. Numbers of Albanians also fled due to the oppression from the Ottomans. Other migrations of Orthodox people from the Kosovo area continued throughout the 18th century. Most Albanians eventually adopted Islam, while most Serbs did not. In 1766, the Ottomans abolished the Serbian Patriarchate of Prizren. The position of Christians in Kosovo was greatly reduced. The territory of today's province was for centuries ruled by the Ottoman Empire. During this period, several administrative districts known as Sanjaks, each ruled by Sanjabi, have included parts of the territory as parts of the territories. Despite the imposition of Muslim rule, large numbers of Christians continued to live and sometimes even prosper under the Ottomans. A process of Islamization began shortly after the beginning of Ottoman rule, but it took a considerable amount of time, at least a century, and was concentrated at first on the towns. A large part of the reason for the conversion was probably economic and social, as Muslims had considerably more rights and privileges than Christian subjects. Christian religious life nonetheless continued, while churches were largely left alone by the Ottomans. But both the Serbian Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches and the congregations suffered from high levels of taxation. For the 17th century, there is evidence of an increasing proportion of Albanian speakers in Kosovo, spreading from the west. Some of this seems to have been the result of migration from the mountains of modern Albania into lands which could support higher populations, and that the putative migrants brought Islam with them. Catholic Albanians who found it convenient to be officially Muslim were not allowed by the Vatican to continue Catholic rites in private, and therefore became increasingly Islamized. In 1689, Kosovo was greatly disrupted in the course of the Great Turkish War, in one of the pivotal events in Serbian national mythology. In October 1689, a small Habsburg force under Margrave Ludwig of Baden breached the Ottoman Empire and reached as far as Kosovo, following their earlier capture of Belgrade. Many Serbs and Albanians pledged their loyalty to the Austrians, some joining Ludwig's army. This was by no means a universal reaction. Many other Albanians fought alongside the Ottomans to resist the Austrian advance. A massive Ottoman counter-attack the following summer drove the Austrians back to the fortress at Nis, then back to Belgrade, then finally back across the Danube into Austria. In 1878, one of the four vilayets with Albanian inhabitants that formed the League of Prizren was Vilayet of Kosovo. The League's purpose was to resist both Ottoman rule and incursions by the newly emerging Balkan nations. In 1910, an Albanian insurrection, which was possibly aided surreptitiously by the Young Turks to put pressure on the Sublime Porte, broke out in Pristina and soon spread to the entire Vilayet of Kosovo, lasting for 3 months. The Sultan visited Kosovo in June 1911 during peace settlement talks covering all Albanian inhabited areas. Albanian National Movement. The Albanian National Movement was inspired by various factors. Besides the national renaissance that had been promoted by Albanian activists, political reasons Ottomans were a contributing factor. In the 1870s, the Ottoman Empire experienced a tremendous contraction in territory and defeats in wars against the Slavic monarchies of Europe. During the 1877–1878 Russo-Turkish War, the Serbian troops invaded the northeastern part of the province of Kosovo, deporting 160,000 ethnic Albanians from 640 localities. Furthermore, the signing of the Treaty of San Stefano marked the beginning of a difficult situation for the Albanian people in the Balkans, whose lands were to be ceded from Turkey to Serbia, Montenegro and Bulgaria. Fearing the partitioning of Albanian inhabited lands among the newly founded Balkan kingdoms, the Albanians established the League of Prizren on June 10, 1878, 3 days prior to the Congress of Berlin that would revise the decisions of San Stefano. Though the League was founded with the support of the Sultan, who hoped for the preservation of Ottoman territories, the Albanian leaders were quick and effective enough to turn it into a national organization and eventually into a government. The League had the backing of the Italo-Albanian community and had well developed into a unifying factor for the religiously diverse Albanian people. During its 3 years of existence, the League saw the creation of an Albanian Vilayet within the Ottoman Empire, raised an army and fought a defensive war. In 1881, a provisional government was formed to administer Albania under the presidency of Ymir Prizreni, assisted by prominent ministers such as Abdul Frasheri and Shuleshman Vokshi. Nevertheless, military intervention from the Balkan states, the great powers as well as Turkey, divided the Albanian troops in 3 fronts, which brought about the end of the League. Kosovo was yet home to other Albanian organizations, the most important being the League of Prizren, named after the city in which it was founded in 1899. It was led by Haki Zika, a former member of the League of Prizren, and shared a similar platform in quest for an autonomous Albanian Vilayet. The League ended its activity in 1900 after an armed conflict with the Ottoman forces. Zika was assassinated by a Serbian agent in 1902 with the backing of the Ottoman authorities.